Hello beautiful people, and welcome back to another video. My name is Danny, and on this channel we talk about everything bettering ourselves from the inside out. So if bettering yourself is something you're into, then hit the subscribe button so you never miss a video with me. For those of you who don't know, I wrote a book called Full of Yourself, a guide to becoming your most audacious self. And this is currently the series that I have been going through each chapter, highlighting its best. Last week we spoke about being full of yourself with boundaries, children, and parents. So there's a lot more in-depth information on that chapter in the book that is available on Amazon, Kindle, and Barnes & Noble online. And this week we're speaking about being full of yourself with pleasure and being sexy AF. Creating a pleasure practice and being sexy should be fun. It should be exhilarating and exciting, and if you have a little bit of tension or issues around this, any type of resistance, then you're gonna have to get into that first. So there are multiple things you can do. You can go back to the episode where we talked about different therapeutic modalities and try to get into the psyche and try to figure out where this resistance is coming from, because that alone is going to help you when starting your own pleasure practice and being sexy AF. So starting there and making sure that you don't have resistance around this topic is going to be the biggest bet that you have for success in this topic. During my journey to become sexy AF and just creating that pleasure practice, I've been able to align with my best self currently, because I want to be ever evolving, which is what we are. We are ever evolving creatures. So I will evolve and continue to evolve and become better and better and better. But in order for me to get to my first step, you have to find that higher self of yours and align to her. So during my journey, that's what I've been doing, and I've been aligning myself energetically, physically, and just trying to find the best way to align with my most pleasure-filled, sexy AF self. And I want that for you as well, because I know being sexy AF, just the idea of being sexy can be a little elusive. It could be, I don't know what that means. I don't know how to feel sexy. I haven't felt sexy in years. And this is where we create our pleasure practice, because being in touch with your pleasure and your femininity, being feminine is creating that pleasure, and connecting the two is how you become sexy. And with that, I want to say that this is creating a sexual pleasure routine as well as a non-sexual pleasure routine that we'll get into a little bit later in the video. So the first thing, of course, that I did when creating this idea of becoming sexy is I defined what sexy meant to me. So that's what I'd want you to do. I want you to define what sexy means to you. So in my opinion, I define sexy as someone who is very intelligent, someone who is poised, someone who holds herself well and accountable for herself and her actions, someone who is emotionally aware and available, someone who puts herself together in whatever way she decides. It doesn't have to be the standard way of the standard beauty routine or what the, whatever standards are in right now. That's not what I consider sexy. I consider someone sexy authentically to themselves. The it factor, she's got the je ne sais quoi, she's got it, she knows what she's doing. And if you think about it, it's the way she holds herself, it's her energy and her aura, it's how she carries herself in general, and it doesn't necessarily equate to what she physically looks like, because I've seen multiple different women who just have that sexy AF, just it factor about them, and they're in different shapes, sizes, colors, all the different things, and they just have it, because having that sexy AF mentality comes from curating what you consider to be your best self, your sexiest self. So define what sexy means to you. This is not only just sexual needs, this is also non-sexual needs. And this is huge if you think about it, because we automatically think, oh, when we're creating a pleasure practice, we're talking about sex, we're talking about orgasms, we're talking about that type of situation. But in reality, it's both. It's sexual and it's non-sexual. And when you create this pleasure practice for yourself, which I'm going to list out a couple of the things that I would consider to be non-sexual pleasure practices. There is so much out there. I go into a lot of it in my book. There's also lists you can find if you Google non-sexual pleasure practices. Multiple things, many things that you could do. However, the idea behind a non-sexual pleasure routine is just romanticizing your life. Being able to scrub yourself down, not being able to put your body oils on, all those things that you could do when you romanticize it. If you just rushed it and got in and got out, that's not pleasure. That's just going through the motions and doing what you have to do. You had to take a shower, you got in, you got out, you took a shower. But it wasn't pleasurable, right? You take the time, you put your oils on, you put your nice smelling body wash on, maybe you did a little shaving. And let's not forget an everything shower, because the standard shower that you're in and out of and you're rushing versus just like a really nice slow shower is great, but an everything shower, top tier. Top tier in pleasure. So let's go over a list of a couple of things that I have deemed as really great non-sexual pleasure routine practices. A home-cooked meal full of nutrition and love, because side note, the way we cook our meal, the way we put our energy into preparing our meal really does relay into how it was made up. Say you're making dinner for your family and you're just irritated, you're just upset, you're cooking dinner and you're just like, I don't really want to be cooking dinner. I'm very unappreciated around here. And, you know, here we are, this meal, it's made, it wouldn't be as tasty and as amazing as a meal that you would cook with love. You had a wonderful day. You feel like your family appreciates you. You laughed. You had a little bit of music on. Maybe you're sipping a little bit of vino. The difference in the two is, like I said before, the rushing shower versus the everything shower. Making a meal because you have to and because you're just pissed and you're like, get dinner on the table, or making a meal that's made with love and it's just full of all this positive energy, is the difference in creating that pleasure routine. Also, wearing the most comfy pajamas to bed every night. I recently went from wearing like just big t-shirts to actually having like a matching set that made me feel sexy. It doesn't have to be lace, it doesn't have to be silk, it could be cotton. It could be, you know, really cute pair of like boxer shorts and like a sports bra. But because you feel sexy when you're wearing it and it feels comfortable to be on your skin, it's just, that's the pleasure. Versus wearing a big t-shirt that I just kind of felt sloppy and didn't feel, you know, if it's 3 a.m. and we have a fire in the house and I got to run out of the house in a big t-shirt, I'm going to look like a fool. I'm going to look very sloppy. I'm going to look very lazy. Versus if something were to happen and I'm in my matching PJ set, I look feminine. And okay, having a bed so cozy that you get into it and immediately fall asleep. Like, of course, there is a wind down routine that's necessary for this, and that also is created in your pleasure, your non-sexual pleasure routine. However, having a bed that you get into and you're just like, oh my God, like, oh, my bed feels so good. It feels so nice to be here. I don't want to sleep in any other bed. It's better than the hotel beds. It's just amazing. Like, that is pleasure. This is where you're going to get your recovery sleep, beauty sleep, where all of your amazing mind and thoughts come to a stop and you're able to decipher things and decode things. If you have this luxurious, pleasuring bed that you're able to sleep in and just feel like, oh my God, this is my cozy place, that is top tier. That is pleasure. When you wake up or anytime and you have an amazing cup of coffee or a really nice warm cup of tea, top tier pleasure. Deep conversations. I don't even need to elaborate on this one, because knowing how it is to go from, as I elaborate, knowing how it is to go from a very surface level conversation with somebody to a deep conversation, it does something different. Not only does it make that bond stronger with that person, but it does something to you where it's like, this feels so good to have this deep conversation. It's pleasure. Self-care routines, obviously this goes to say that doing anything for yourself is going to feel pleasurable. It's going to feel really good to put that face mask on, to put a foot mask on, to have some tea before bed, to read a book, to meditate, to journal. all the things, all the self-care, self-love, self-help, all those things, they feel great. That is pleasure. That is telling yourself, you're putting yourself on this pedestal and you deserve it. Pleasure. Really, reading a really good book. I love to read, and I know a really good book. It's called Full of Yourself, A Guide to Becoming Your Most Audacious Self. Shameless plug. That's pleasure. Reading a very good book. Listening to an amazing playlist. I mean, anybody can vouch for this when you have that playlist that hits, and whether it's you're going into the gym, you're having a nice drive, you're just cleaning up your house, there are playlists that hit different. And having that musical side to it, and just having your mind be able to drift into the sound, hear the beat, feeling it coming through your bones, dancing along to it, whatever it is, that is pleasure. Saying no whenever you feel like it and not feeling bad about it. Like, okay, people pleasing has been something that I've done for such a long time. So now when I say no, before, because recently I've gotten to this point where it's like I don't feel bad about it, but before, when I would say no, I had a little bit of resistance around it, where I'd be like, oh, like I feel so bad for saying no. Like I just like I want to say no, but I feel bad for saying no, because like I'm so used to saying yes, and I know that that person is probably upset with me. So now I'm just like uncomfortable, and I don't really know what to do with myself, and I feel kind of bad, and just blah blah blah. Your whole mind goes into this like spiraling loop of what do I do? But when you get to a point after getting through that and saying no whenever you want to, and fighting through that resistance that's going to come up just automatically, you get to a point where you're like, no, I'm sorry. Or don't even say sorry. Just be like, no, I can't. I just really want to spend time with my dog. You know? Whatever the situation is, if you say no, you can say no and you don't feel bad about it. Bottom line. Saying yes without feeling ashamed. If it's the last chocolate in the box and someone's like, oh, Danny, do you want this last chocolate? Instead of being like, oh my God, you're gonna ask me and not anybody else? Yeah, I want it, but do I want to say yes? I'm gonna feel so bad if I get it and nobody else gets it. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say, give me that piece of chocolate because I want it and I get to say yes. So being able to say yes, that's such a small example. Just like, obviously, it goes bigger than that. And of course, there's going to be the resistance that we always have, but you have to fight through it, because this is you creating pleasure for yourself because you're worthy of this pleasure. This is just a really small list. And like I said, you can go on Pinterest, you can go on Google, TikTok. There are so many things out there that you can get ideas from as far as creating a non-sexual pleasure routine for yourself. And I think it is crucial and necessary in the Full of Yourself journey. That's why I dedicated an entire chapter to this, in order to really make yourself feel like that bitch, to make yourself feel like I am worthy of this. Is like you have to put the work in too, and that is creating this pleasure routine of non-sexual pleasure activities. And then let's talk about sexual side of this. This goes for anyone. It doesn't matter if you've never had sex before in your life. It doesn't matter if you're practicing abstinence, celibacy, you have a partner. It does not matter. This is for you. You should be able to create a sexual pleasure that you need, want, and desire, right? You have your own needs. You have your own desires, whether you're with somebody or not, whether you have been with somebody or not, whether you're waiting for marriage. It doesn't matter. You need to know your body, and you need to be able to relay that message to your partner, whoever and whenever, right? You want to be able to be like, this is what I like because I know myself. I've explored myself. I turned my own self on. So this type of situation, if you've not given yourself the opportunity to really dive in and figure it out and see what you like, do some research. I can't say don't have shame around this, because I'm not sure how you've been brought up, but the shame around it needs to falter. It needs to go, because this is your life. right? This is your sexual pleasure routine. Now, you can have no resistance around saying yes or no, but maybe you have a resistance around the fact that somebody's talking about orgasms. And with this situation, yes, there's a level of modesty, but when it comes to yourself, you need to know what you like and what you don't like. You need to know if you're willing to explore certain things, and you need to turn yourself on. You need to look in the mirror and be like, I'm sexy. I'm hot. I love the way this moves on me. I love the way my breasts look. I love the way this, I love that. It doesn't have to be perfect, and eventually you can get further and further along. Like I said, you can align to that best you and just like slowly get there, and then finally you align to her. But right now, just exploring and having these ideas and just being open to the possibility that you can be sexy AF and you can create a pleasure routine, sexual and non-sexual. So the second thing I did in order to change this identity after deciding what it is that I wanted and what I decided what sexy was to me, I listed out the things that I wanted to change. So before, I would say I was good with a lot of things sexually when I wasn't. I would say, oh, this is what I like, but in reality I didn't. I would not allow myself to have these non-sexual pleasure routines. I would, I wasn't really familiar with the idea of what I thought was sexy. So once you have this idea, and now we live in a day and age where there's so much information at our fingertips. We can go on any single app, we can use our smartphone, we can use the internet, we can go to the library and get books. It doesn't matter. We have so much information just right here. So look up anything. Look up and explore. Do the work for yourself. Understand what it is that you like, understand what it is to be sexy, and really get in touch with this side of yourself. And, after you create this list of like, this is what I want to change, then we're going to bridge the gap. I always make a list of the things that I'd like, and then I find a way to incorporate that into my life. Like if I have this person that I want to be and I'm not that yet, but I know what I got to do to get there, I'm good, I'm set. Eventually I know if I follow this guideline and this map, then I will get to my destination. And that's what I want for you guys. I want you to know, whatever way you decide to find your pleasure practice and your non-sexual and sexual pleasure practice, and trying to figure out how you feel when you're sexy AF, what that means to you. I just want you to have fun. And remember, this should be something that's easy. This should be something that comes to you naturally because it's tailored to you. It's your experience. It's your life. And so no matter what I have suggested and those things don't spark any interest to you, let them be. Leave them where they're left, and that's completely fine. And you have fun in finding your own practice and your own sexual and non-sexual pleasure routines, as well as finding out what it means to you to be sexy AF. So again, thank you so much for watching my video. My book is available on Amazon, Kindle, and Barnes & Noble online. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you never miss a video with me. And follow my socials. I will have them put right here somewhere. And again, I love you so much. Thank you for the support and the love. And tune in next week because we will be concluding our series with my book, Full of Yourself, A Guide to Becoming Your Most Audacious Self. So until next time, bye.